This message is paid for by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. We all know about the speed of sound, but have you ever thought about the sounds of speeding? If you drive over the speed limit, there are lots of sounds that you might hear. You could hear the sound of your vehicle crashing, the sound of first responders desperately trying to save you. You could even hear the sound of people crying at a funeral. Because if you drive over the speed limit, you could do damage that's beyond repair. One way or another, speeding catches up with you. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Game Informer Show, a weekly podcast covering the video game industry. Join us every Thursday for a discussion about the latest gaming news, reviews, and exclusive reveals alongside Game Informer staff and special guests from around the industry. I'm your host, Alex Van Aken, and today I'm joined by Jay Guisal. What's up, Jay?
Hey, happy to be here. It's been a while.
Yeah, happy to have you on here, my friend. We are also joined by returning... what was it? The once and future informer, Wesley LeBlanc.
Yep.
What's up, Wes?
How's it going?
How are you?
Excited to be here.
Good. And of course, Marcus Stewart. Hello, rounding us out. How you doing, Marcus?
Whoop whoop. Pull over.
I don't remember. Did Alex ever have a nickname for you or Jay? I couldn't remember.
Alex made up a nickname for me every episode, and I think one of the nicknames was related to the fact that I had no nickname.
The nameless one.
Yeah, like am I
There
like
you go.
Clint Eastwood's character in Fistful of Dollars and Good, Bad, and the Ugly? It's just the
You're just the randomizer. That kind of feels messed up.
the
man.
informer with no name. I don't know.
Okay, we'll figure that out. Well, welcome to the show, everybody. Jay, Marcus, you weren't here last week when we recorded this episode. You weren't on the show, at least. You were working. But the show is audio only now. I know that there were some people upset about that. I really appreciate your patience. But I think this is for the best for now with our current bandwidth, or my current bandwidth. I'm the only video editor now. So I made the executive decision.
Yeah, especially since I'm naked.
So you're naked. Yeah, I forgot. I didn't say anything about that before this recording. We just all accepted it on the Discord call that was what Marcus was doing. But now we're acknowledging it. Yes, Marcus is naked.
We still have cameras on, though.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, you got to pay for that video content.
Yeah, for sure. Well, listeners, welcome. It's going to be a fun show. We're going to be talking about our Skull and Bones cover reveal. We're going to be talking about Xenoblade Chronicles 3. I've been playing Rollerdrome and love it. I think we're going to talk a little more Stray as well. And Steam Deck. Of course, at the end of the show is listener questions. So if you submitted a question, which you can do so at podcast@gameinformer.com or in the Discord or on Twitter, you might be featured there. So thanks everybody for sending those in. Let's get into the show. Now, before our Skull and Bones cover reveal, Wes, I'm going to send it over to you real quick in a moment, but we're not going to have a big news section of the show. We've just got a slammed episode. We got so much stuff to talk about, but I do want to highlight a couple stories that you all should go and check out over on the website, and I will link them in the show notes, directly link to them. So if you're interested in any of these, you can just go click on it, read it, or if you just want to head over to gameinformer.com/news, you can get news over there. First story that you should check out, Ubisoft is canceling Ghost Recon Frontline, Splinter Cell VR. They've also delayed Avatar from Tears of Pandora out of 2022. So there is no current release window, but it is no longer releasing this year, which I totally forgot it was even going to release this year. That's one of those games that I'm like, yeah, okay, sure. Next story you should check out, Discord support is finally coming to Xbox. Go read that. And then we've got more PlayStation VR 2 details. It was actually, you should go to the PlayStation blog because I'm sure we're just going to summarize that. But if you want to support us, go to gameinformer.com/news. I'm sure some extra details or comments on that, editorializing it. But yeah, more PSVR 2 details. Again, all of those in the show notes. Go check those out. But let's waste no time. Wes, you had a weird couple of weeks, but one of the things that you've been working on in those weird couple of weeks is your first cover story for Game Informer. How does it feel?
Pretty good. My first cover story, I was not employed by Game Informer while writing it. That's a fun little...
You were paid, though.
I was paid. I was paid very generously, and I'm very thankful for that. Yeah, that is very important to make clear.
But not you. This is,
It is
your brief break from Game Informer.
I haven't looked at the digital magazine, but I wonder if I'm under the staff list. That'd be pretty funny if I was.
Stressing vacation of all time.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
But yeah, I'd already done all the work except actually write it, which is still a lot of work. And after the layoffs happened, Reiner was like, look, you don't have to do it at all. No pressure at all. But if you do want to do it, we can pay you. And I was like, yeah, I do want to do it because I had put a lot of work into this and it's a game I'm excited about. And it'd be cool to have a cover story, even if I was no longer going to be with Game Informer. Worked out
for sure.
Weirdly in a great way because now I'm back and this is just my first of hopefully many cover stories in the future. But yeah, Skull and Bones. It's a game that was announced in 2017 and it was probably the worst sounding pirate game ever. A 5v5.
What, is it fair to say it was in development hell?
I would say so. They would probably not say so. I asked them a lot of my interviews were about that 5-year gap because for basically 5 years we didn't see anything about this game. And it was pretty much to them, and you can read more about this in the cover story, they were just saying like it's a new IP, it's an open world new IP, and it just takes a lot of time to develop it. But there's been some reporting from places like Kotaku that show a different story, which is that this game's been through possibly many different iterations. Maybe it started off as a Black Flag multiplayer spinoff before becoming its own IP. If you've paid attention to the game, you know it was a 5v5 arena multiplayer battler about piracy.
A lot of words.
Yeah.
Not keywords in
not a lot of good ones though. At least not what I personally want when I think of pirates. It's not a MOBA adjacent game. But that's not what this is anymore. Now it is, I called it in the story, the Ubisoftification of the golden age of piracy, which is, this is a Ubisoft game. If you don't like Ubisoft games, you might not necessarily vibe with this, but I do. I love Assassin's Creed and the Far Cry series for what they are. And that is just going around, picking up missions, completing them, crafting, getting resources to become stronger so that the next mission you can do it. And then you just keep going from there. And that's really what Skull and Bones is about. You start as a pirate outcast on the infamy ranking, which is your progression. And your ultimate goal is to reach the top of that tier list board, whatever you want to call it, and you'll have the title of Pirate Kingpin. Still takes place almost exclusively on the water. This is still focused on naval combat. You know, you're not going to be doing what Black Flag did, which is run around an island and fight soldiers and that kind of stuff with swords. There's some stuff that happens on land, but if you're looking for like a third-person pirate action game, this isn't it. That said, I came away from this cover story very excited about what this game is, and I think a lot of people will vibe more with it once you get past like the kind of shock value of it. Like, it's not my dream pirate game, which is like a third-person action pirate game, but like this is.
What do you mean by the shock value of it? Like,
yeah, it's just, so if you like Black Flag, you probably really love Black Flag. A lot of people, that's like one of their favorite Assassin's Creeds for good reason. It's fantastic.
It's probably mine.
Yeah.
It's up there for me too.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people, if you found out the studio, like Ubisoft was making a pirate game, you'd probably be like, oh, they're going to make Black Flag without the Assassin's Creed stuff. And that's not at all what this is. And for me, back in 2017, I was really bummed about it. And over these 5 years, not knowing what this game was, I continued to be bummed about it. But after, looking at the game and researching it and talking to the developers about it, I think they're going to do something pretty fun. Still not like the pirate game I would think they'd make, but what they are making is doing some interesting things. And it sounds like they have a pretty good grasp on the naval combat game that they're making.
So I think this is going to draw a lot of similarities or comparisons to Sea of Thieves. Sea of Thieves, I would say, more of a light simulation. You're dealing with the wind direction. Each piece of the ship is manually controlled, right, to make the ship go. And it's all a couple of moving pieces instead of just hold forward on an analog stick to drive a ship. Is that sort of what Skull and Bones is doing, or is it, what do you say, it leans more on the arcadey side of that spectrum or more on the sim side of that spectrum?
Yeah, so I would probably lean towards the more arcadey side. right before I did this cover story, I saw a tweet talking about Skull and Bones, and I wish I knew who it was. It was just a random viral tweet that said Sea of Thieves is all about tools, not rules. And what they talked about was that basically everyone who plays Sea of Thieves has access to the same everything. You have this access to the same ship, the same weapons. Like, there's nothing you can do to make your character more powerful than another player. Like, it comes down to what you can do with what you have. And Skull and Bones is very different in that it's more traditional. Like, it's about starting on a small ship, weak armor, your weapons aren't that great, you don't have access to much, and then you kind of just build up from there. And as your infamy rises, which is basically your XP that you earn, you get access to more blueprints for better ships. You get stronger armor. Maybe your ship is, instead of just wood, it has like terracotta or metal on it. Instead of just cannons, now you've got mortars on it, or Greek fire or something like that. And so as you progress, your ship is getting stronger and stronger, and presumably you should go after bigger fishes in the ocean. And they have... So you get infamy for everything you do, and if you fail at something, you lose infamy, which can affect your ranking. Kind of like in Overwatch, how you can slide back and forth through different tiers of bronze and stuff. And the game, one of the big questions I had was about griefing. I get really annoyed in Sea of Thieves when people grief me. Like, if they find me and I just keep respawning and they just kill me over and over, it's really annoying. And I was like, what's going to stop players who have reached the top of this Skull and Bones leaderboard from just going after small guys? And the way they're doing that is that you're just going to lose infamy. You're going to lose a healthy amount of infamy. So the game's going to actively discourage you from picking on small people or small boats, ships and whatnot. So ideally, if everything goes according to their plan, you will progress as a pirate in the world. You'll have better ships, better weapons, and as a result, you're going to go after bigger catches or treasures. You're going to go after bigger ships, bigger forts, bigger villages, that kind of thing.
Marcus, have any questions on Skull and Bones?
Yeah, I read the cover story, and it's fantastic, and I'm excited for people to check it out. One thing that stood out to me was the part about getting to amass sort of a collection of boats. Like, you start out with like your little dinghy, little boat, and then along, as you progress, you can get like big like gunships and stuff. Are you storing these boats anywhere manually, or can you just kind of like video game style just swap between them, like summon them, or can you operate more than one at once?
So I didn't get to see it like in game, but I would bet my life like 99% that it's going to be video gamey, because you're going to have a bunch of different ships. There's 3 types of ships. There's firepower, navigation, and cargo. And firepower, as the name suggests, is all about taking down enemy ships, but it's harder to maneuver and there's not as much cargo space, so you can't carry as much loot. Cargo ships, you can carry a ton of loot, but they're hard to maneuver and you don't want to get into battle with them as a result, because it's easy to take you down. And then navigation ships are fast and speedy, but they're not very strong. And so that's how they're attempting to stop you from just sticking to one ship, is your different missions. You might have an escort mission, or you might have a mission where you got to go take down a fort. And so you're going to be using all these different ships. And when you're at the outpost, or dens as they call them, that's where you'll see a ship like at the dock. And I think you're just going to like go into a menu and pick your ship. That's one of the few spots they said there's a loading screen. So I don't think you're going to see your armada of like 20 ships stored somewhere, but I wasn't able to like actually view that myself. So who knows? But everything they've told me would say and suggest otherwise.
Okay. I also it might be worth maybe touching on a little bit the narrative or whatever it is. I know it sounded like this is not a narrative focused game. Like, I think they've been pretty clear about that even when they didn't know what the game was years ago.
Yeah.
But it sounded like it reminded me of Titanfall 1 a little bit, reading your cover story of like how they were approaching like it's a multiplayer game and we've weaved in the narrative in that framework. Is that accurate?
Yeah, it's you've heard developers talk about this kind of narrative before, which is like you create your own story, or your story is the narrative, like your rise to the top. So yeah, there's not
emergent stories.
Exactly, yeah. Water cooler stories and whatnot. Like, this isn't going to be, and they specifically said you're not going to like go through missions and then have a big climactic finale and roll credits and the game's over. It's very much like your story as your rise from outcast to kingpin. But they did say there's some lore bits to find, I presume, like collectibles. There's treasure maps to find. There's pirate VIPs. I couldn't get them to name drop any, but I did ask if there's going to be like a Greybeard in place of a Blackbeard, and they said no. So I'm hopeful that there's going to be some like actual historical figures, which Ubisoft is pretty good about. And then you'll kind of learn about their backstories and whatnot. But yeah, this isn't going to be a traditional narrative experience by any means.
Have they said anything about what happens if your ship is destroyed? Is it like on cooldown for a little while and you have to use another kind of ship, or do you just respawn and
is there permadeath for your ships?
I know you lose infamy. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's no permadeath or anything like that. When you die, you will keep most of your loot, which I thought was interesting, but a little bit of it will remain behind for your enemies to get. You can also, I think their goal, and they've expressed this to me, is that, you respawn, you get back in your ship and you go get the loot that was dropped, or you take down the ship that just killed you so that you can get the loot. Yeah, but there's no like super harsh penalties in that regard. And you mentioned infamy. So you know how in Overwatch you can drop from gold to silver to bronze if you just keep doing terribly? Mm-hmm. This game has a ton of ranks. There's like Outcast, Corsair, Kingpin, for example. And within each rank is like different tiers. So different tiers of Corsair. You can slide back and forth in between that, but you'll never drop below Corsair. Okay. Yeah. So you're always theoretically like your
minimum.
You're always getting higher up in rank, and you don't lose access to any of the things you've unlocked when you drop in tiers and whatnot. Yeah.
It's just a matter of reaching that first.
What's the highest rank, and if you achieve it, can you still lose it? Like the system also reminds me, maybe because I don't play Overwatch as much, but Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel has a similar ranking system. But with theirs, once you get to the tippy top, you're there forever, no matter what. It's kind of the reward, and to let people know that like you've reached diamond rank because of how hard it is to get up there. Do you know if this game has that, or is it like no matter what, you always have to defend your spot?
Yeah, so Kingpin is the highest title infamy rank you can get, and there's tiers within Kingpin, but yeah, once you're a Kingpin, you're never going to drop back down to something lower. And no matter what rank you are, players will be able to see, using the spyglass on top of the ship's crow's nest, they can look at your ship, and they'll see your infamy rank, how much infamy they'd gain for taking you down, how much they'd lose if you beat them, loot of importance on board, and even like what kind of weapons and armor they have. So you get a pretty good layout of every person on the open seas, and there's about 20 other players on every server. So yeah, I think unlike Master Duel, where like if you're the top, like everyone knows it and you're like this big bad who people want to compete against, I think this game will get to a point where like you see a lot of Kingpins. They want everyone to get to that highest rank because that's where the end game kind of stuff happens.
Nice.
I have a quick question. Outside of Infamy, like, are there any other like progression systems? Like, are there like skill trees or anything for your ships?
No skill trees, but there's like, well, no, everything is pretty much tied to Infamy, to be honest. I mean, there's gold to like buy stuff for your ship, like food or more resources. Sure. But as you rank up in Infamy, you unlock new armor types and new weapons. But to like go purchase those and equip it to your ship, you're gonna have to spend like in-world currency. And there's no microtransactions except for cosmetics. Like all you can do is buy cosmetics. So you can't spend real money to get in-game money to boost up to the top real quick.
Nice.
Yeah.
So to be completely honest, I'm so skeptical on this, like a lot of people are.
Yeah.
But what's for some reason in my brain when you talk about, this game, Wes, I used to be really into World of Tanks on the Xbox One.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't put it down. It was the game my dad and I played. And it's very weird. Like for some reason, multiplayer games where you just control an object, like a vehicle, are always less exciting to me than being a pilot or like having like that, going a little step further, like having that human fantasy aspect of whatever it is. And I don't know what it is. Like, and I think that's why I also don't play a ton of racing games, is because I want the fantasy to be about being the driver and not about being the car. And I feel like sometimes I lose that in racing games because I feel like I'm just the car and I can't really connect to that. So that's why I like Forza Horizon, for instance. I feel like they've kind of tried to like pull out that fantasy of being the driver a little more in recent titles. But a game about just being a tank, I on the surface probably wouldn't like, but World of Tanks, I just want to give a shout out because that game ruled. Except for there was a couple, I think 2 tank models that if you saw him on the battlefield, like you were gonna lose because that was like early
John Wick tank.
It was more like pay to win stuff, but despite that, I still couldn't put that game down. But there's some stuff that you talk about in this game that remind me of that game, and so I'm kind of clinging to that.
Yeah,
my curiosity is still sparked.
I would say you mentioned Forza Horizon. That's what the game reminds me of most in regards to like ship versus the captain behind it. Like you do have a captain, you do get to make a character, and you do get to equip them with different cosmetics and interact with people in the world. There's even like emotes and stuff to use when you're at the pirate dens, but you're not going to be spending much time there. So, but yeah, it's kind of like Forza where you can customize your character and there is this person behind the wheel, but the car is the emphasis.
Is the focus.
Yeah, and that's the same here with the ships. Like it's about the ship.
When you think about it, the golden age of piracy was the original Horizon Festival. Just those dang rascals out there causing trouble, destroying stuff, and, singing their shanties.
Yeah,
That's
there's it's definitely that in some regards. There's no festivals happening and no DJ playing some really good music.
Dang.
But there are
They don't have
shanties.
EDM in this game?
No, not yet. They're about 300 years behind, but one day.
Yeah, just wait for the DLC. Well, cool. Thanks, Wes. That's our Skull and Bones cover reveal breakdown. Of course, go read the magazine for yourself. The digital edition is out now. You can get that at a number of places if you want to tie it into your power-up rewards. You can do that over at GameStop. If you are trying to get it the quickest possible way, you can go to the app stores, download the app, and you can grab a subscription there. But yeah, go read the cover story. It's really great. We have a lot of other awesome features as well in the magazine this month. The Summer 60, which is our 60 games to keep an eye out for. We've got a bunch of cool features. So go support us. It means the world. It does help us keep the lights on here. And yeah, let's get into the playlist. Playlist is the part of the show where we talk about the games that we've been playing. We're going to go to Jay first because Jay has been, I would say, playing the game of the week. I feel like Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is probably the game that a lot of listeners are most curious about right now. Mm-hmm. I'm glad that we have you on here, Jay. We call you JRPG for a reason. You're the guy who loves to sink hundreds of hours into a single game and explore relationships with the characters, and you're an RPG guy.
Yeah.
How is Xenoblade Chronicles 3, Jay?
Well, if I could be honest with you, the game sadly just didn't resonate with me as much as I wanted it to. It's unfortunate. It's a pretty long game, upwards to 100 hours and more. And I will say, though, that the premise kind of hooked me early on. It's pretty similar to another JRPG that came out last year called Tales of Arise, which is pretty near and dear to my heart. And so the main story is basically, you're in the world of Ionios, and you have two nations, the Kevis and the Agnes, and they're at war. And so the really interesting conceit of this, though, is that the troops that fight for both nations, they're cursed with this sort of 10-year lifespan that they call terms. And so the idea is that these young people, and when I say young people, throughout the course of these 10 years, these people grow to be young adults. But the idea is that they fight to live and they live to fight. And so immediately when I heard that line in the opening cutscene, I was like, man, this seems really, really interesting. Like I said, I love Tales of Arise, and so I was really into that premise because it is dealing with some pretty heavy themes like racism, like trauma and stuff like that. But sadly, the six main characters, Noah, Unilance, Mio, Tyon, and Senna, they didn't have the same pull and charisma as the characters from Tales of Arise, and so there was sort of emotional disconnect for me throughout a lot of the story beats, which is, like I said, unfortunate because a big part of RPGs, JRPGs, or Western RPGs is the story, right? The characters that we're going to be with for a really long time, and so when there is that disconnect, it can kind of really make the game more of a challenge to get through. But I will say the central gameplay loop of real-time battles was really, really cool, and that was something I kept going back to even as I explored some of these open zone areas that were kind of empty, save for monsters and items and whatnot. But the gameplay was really solid. So you have auto attacks, and then you have these face button attacks, specials called arts. And so really the central idea is that you can cancel these arts, and canceling is just a Xeno speak for chaining. You can chain these arts into one another, and it kind of makes like this really like rhythmic. It gives this really rhythmic quality to the combat. And so
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool. And each of the 6 characters have their own classes, and the idea is that they can learn any of each other's classes, as well as the classes of these 7th hero characters that you'll come into contact with. So you can sort of really experiment with team compositions, and it'll usually fall under one of 3 umbrellas with some hybrid exceptions. So you have your healer, right, who's going to be buffing and healing everyone with like AoE abilities. You have your heavy guard, which is a tank that draws a lot of aggro, and then you have like your attacker, who's like your DPS, right? So they're getting like crit hits, and they're trying to get stabs in the back and topple or launch enemies and whatnot. And so what's really cool though is that even with that rhythm and even with like those mechanics, the whole time you're kind of keeping an eye on these 2 gauges, right? And one of the gauges is sort of like this heat gauge that once it builds up, you can activate this special fusion ability where 2 characters can fuse together and become like this sort of humanoid mech called an Ouroboros. So some pretty solid Evangelion vibes in there.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, right. And then another gauge that you're paying attention to is your chain attack gauge, and this is one of my favorite aspects of the game. When you activate your chain attack gauge, sort of like it slows down time, and you sort of play this mini game where you're building a damage modifier by selecting different characters and their arts in quick succession. And so the idea is you want to reach this 100-point threshold, and if you reach that threshold, you kind of reset and you can add more attacks in quick succession. And so you can be sitting there doing a chain attack for just a couple of minutes, getting upwards of like 400,000 damage in this really dope cutscene where everybody's doing a lot of really cool moves and attacks. And so that's really what I kind of fell in love with throughout the game. But couple 100 hours in of just doing that and not so great plot beats, it kind of took a toll, I'm not gonna lie. So
yeah, I mean, that's like the biggest bummer is just like the time investment it takes to really connect with these characters, and then at the end when you're really not feeling it, it's a huge bummer and kind of deters me personally a little bit. But
that's a good reference. Said you weren't really feeling it. Xenoblade, little show up there. I thought you were doing it on purpose.
No, I wasn't.
Okay, I thought
maybe it makes it funny.
But yeah, I'm kind of bummed out too. I've only ever played the first Xenoblade Chronicles, which as a game I really, really liked, but never played X or 2. Kind of had my eye on this one. It's like, okay, maybe this will be the one that I jump back in on. But reading your review, Jay, like, I'm glad that the gameplay seems to be pretty fun, but hearing that the writing and the storytelling and the characters aren't great, that's pretty damning to me for any RPG, because it's like, I think I would rather play an RPG that had a really good story and only kind of okay combat than maybe the opposite, because of the investment that it takes.
Right.
Whereas like the thing that gets me through games that are that long, for at least for RPGs, is like the story and the characters and seeing how they grow along the way. And the combat, as long as it's just like tolerable enough, you can kind of turn your brain off and just like click your way through it, right, until you get to the next cool story thing. But yeah, like I don't know if I want to hang out with like a party of dorks for 80 hours.
That's a pretty good way of putting it. They were definitely a party of dorks, not even to be nitpicky, but it even came down to like the barks after like battles, right? You can imagine entering like this humongous open zone and there's only monsters there, so maybe you're grinding for a couple hours and like you just hear the same barks over and over again at the end of like each fight. It really does, like, I'm the MVP, or like you pick up an item and like he has like the British accent, he's like, that's a rare doodad right there, and I'm like, all right bro, like,
that's
like
a what? That's a what?
A rare doodad.
I do like maybe their British accents make it more like tolerable, but I guess not. Like that, I'm the MVP, mate.
Another
and I went over there and picked up the item.
Another thing that another small thing was the slang in the game. They instead of using the conventional curses, they'll like replace like the F-bomb with the word snuff.
No.
So you'll have, it's a little rough. So you'll have like this scene that's emotionally resonant, and there's the bad guy, and you just want somebody to just be like, yeah, F you, and they're like, no, snuff you, mate. And it's like, all right.
Oh, no.
I think I need to take a break.
Is that like an in-universe terminology, or is that like actual UK slang?
Is that UK slang?
Yeah, like, I know some British slang, but I've never heard of snuff, so I can't. I'm trying to decide like where does that come from?
No, man, it's rough.
Alex, since we can't, like, we're keeping it clean, can we say snuff instead for
I'm gonna have to bleep it. If it's a curse word in the Xenoblade universe, it's a curse word on my show.
It's equally offensive.
Yeah. What the hell? Sorry, what the snuff?
Yeah.
What the snuff? Yeah, come on, man.
Keep it clean.
Consistency.
Isn't that the that cat from Thunder? Oh no, that's Snarf.
Snarf.
What the snarf, AVA?
Well, remember Guardians of the Galaxy? They're like F-word replacement,
Yeah.
like Flark, I think
Flark.
it was.
Yeah.
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 Remember that?
That's
Is that
exactly
better than,
the kind of vibes Snuff has given me.
is Snuff better than Flark? I don't know.
It might be worse. I
It
don't know
might
why.
be.
Flark at least kind of sounds vulgar in some way, but Snuff does not. Sounds like a weird drug or something. I don't know. It sounds like what Star Wars would call a type of drug.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, mate, you
yeah.
got snuff. Yeah. You got the death sticks.
Nice. Good
That's what
reference.
Boba Fett's trying to keep out of his town.
Oh. Yeah, okay. Well, that sucks. Anything else, Jay, before we move out of here? What did you score this thing?
I gave it a 7.25. And
7.25.
yeah, and I truly do think, checking out the combat is really worth it. It's kind of like controlling a little army on the fly. You have your 6 characters, and then you have like a 7th hero kind of follows you around, a 7th hero character, and it can be really fun just switching to different roles in the middle of battle. It's like super chaotic, but there's this sort of controlled chaos quality to it. And I thought that was really, really cool, and really, really like innovative too. So yeah, I definitely recommend like the gameplay aspect of the game. But unfortunately, coupled with how long it is to roll credits on that, it can be a little difficult depending on the amount of love you have for the series. Because I feel like Xenoblade fans will probably really love the game because it kind of fits in to the mythos of the previous games as well. But I just didn't feel like this story and these characters in particular resonated with me at all.
I wonder if they'll do DLC, because hearing about this game, like, I remember Xenoblade Chronicles 2 had a similar middling reception at launch.
Yeah.
But then they added those expansions and the free updates, and like Joe Juba has talked about this, but he's talked about how that game is markedly better now than it was at launch because of what not even just the new content, but the improvements they made. I wonder if Xenoblade 3 will have a similar trajectory where maybe a year and a half from now, it's like, oh, actually now it's worth going back and playing that.
Right. Yeah, I hope so. I mean, dude, I just want more people to play JRPGs in general. So I would love, that second lease on life for people to come back and play that. Yeah.
So a lot of people have said, and I've seen it all online, like this, you don't need to play 1 and 2 to play 3. And I wanted to hear your take on that. But then I also wanted to ask, even if I could just play 3, having not played 1 or 2, should I just go back and play one of the other ones anyway? Like if I'm trying to play Xenoblade, a Xenoblade game, is it, where should I go? Should I just go back to 1 because 3 is not worth playing alone? Or like, what's your take on that?
That's an interesting question. I think, honestly, I would recommend going back to 1 because, of course, 1, that's the one that started them all, and it still like has that same level of like nostalgia, novelty to its systems. But also, it's true that each of the games are sort of like standalone experiences, and so you don't need to go back and play 1 or X or 2 to play Xenoblade Chronicles 3. But yeah, I think I would recommend the first one as a good place to start. And I mean, the third one does have like quality of life features that X and 2 didn't have. And, some of those features, though, are kind of not really new to the game space. I mean, you get like an in-game GPS this time around. You get like a shortcut hotbars. I mean, things you've seen in other games, but like the Xenoblade franchise, it's kind of a big deal. But so like fans of the series might really enjoy that. But I would say definitely check out the first game because I think if I'm remembering correctly, there's the definitive edition for that, and I think they added quality of life changes to that. So
cool. I've owned the definitive edition on Switch for like a year. But every time I go to play it, I get a little intimidated. So
yeah,
but I might do it this time. I might do it.
Yeah,
It's a great
give
game.
it a shot. Give it a shot.
Awesome. Well, Jay, thank you for that
Of course.
update on Xenoblade. Of course, people can go to the website to check out your full review. I definitely recommend doing that. I've been playing a game called Rollerdrome. The simplest, most reductive descriptor I have of this game to just push the imagery into your brain immediately is Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, but with guns.
Finally.
Love it. Finally.
Yeah.
They did it.
Rollerdrome is like when you go, it's a running theme on this show, when you go to Golden Corral with your grandparents on a Friday night, it's been a long week, and you just, you're piling your plate high with, just all the fixins, right? You might go to the steak station if you're not intimidated by the carver. You might get some, some green beans, some mac and cheese, and you might start running out of, room on the plate. But you've got to maximize your time here. You don't know when your grandparents are going to be ready to go. You've got to really invest and make this happen. So what do? You put mashed potatoes on your plate, but it's next to the corn. And those things might not traditionally go well together, but you kind of just take a leap of faith.
KFC would beg to differ.
You take a leap of faith, you take that corn, and you put it into the mashed potatoes.
Mm-hmm.
And then you mix them together. And everybody around you is like, this is hideous. This is an abomination. This is rote. And you're like, nah. And you take your first bite. It's heaven. It's nothing but the good stuff. And that's what Rollerdrome is. It is yellow corn mixed with mashed potatoes, Tony Hawk and guns. This game rules, man. Again, this isn't a review. It's just my preview of the game, but I played 6 levels, and this game slaps, man. It is. I cannot wait for this to come out. I don't know when it comes out. I should probably know that. It's sometime this year. I think it's sometime soon, rather. And it's great. So you play as a character named Kara Hassan. And Kara is a rollerblader. They are, very proficient at rollerblading, and they are part of a blood sport. And this blood sport is funded and published by a mega corporation. It takes place in the near future, 2030. It's dystopian. It's a blood sport, so you are competing against other skaters. It's a single player game, but like for the premise of the story, you're competing against other skaters. And as you go, think of the warehouse in Tony Hawk, right? Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. But what if it was full of androids and robots and snipers and giant armored dudes with rocket launchers and riot shields? And you are this skater, and as you skate, you are shooting your guns. But what happens when you run out of ammo? Well, you have to do tricks. That's how you generate ammo.
That's awesome.
So it's this frenetic loop of doing and it's your traditional. I mean, it's a lot of your you're going to be like shotgunning people while doing a nose grind. You're going to be like having dual akimbo pistols while doing a Christ Air. I don't think Christ Airs are in this game, but you get the gist. And all the while you are, when you kill enemies, you get health. When you're running out of ammo, you do tricks to gain ammo. There are, similar to Tony Hawk, there are certain areas. Oh, this is really cool. And really ties into what really is the motivation for me personally to keep playing, besides the cool story and the spectacle of it all. But there is a Tony Hawk style checklist at every level. So it's maybe in Tony Hawk it'd be like collect skate. Here it's like do a flip over the sniper rifle tower and kill them from above with the shotgun. That's one of your tasks. And as you complete these things, your level or your ranking on the level increases from D to S. And man, it's just so good. So I'm trying to think of I know I've kind of just word vomited a lot of cool words at people to describe this game. It is bombast. It's fast paced. It's fluid. It just feels incredible. And one thing I haven't said, and this is what really brings it all together, is there's bullet time. And so in the midst of doing these sick combos, I'm playing with the controller, you hold left trigger and time slows down and you're like, it just feels like you are in an action movie and you're like, there's explosions happening on the screen and you're like flying through them, through the smoke in slow motion, just wrecking dudes. And it's all done in like this cool line art, very comic book adjacent, very flat color profile.
Kind of like Sable. That's what it was.
Yeah, like Sable is. Sable is.
That's what a lot of people thought that it was at first. Like, it was like a sequel or something. Or?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So if you're familiar with Sable, it is very similar, a very similar look. But man, this game is just so much fun, and I've played 6 levels of it, and it's as you're like going down. So one of the levels in particular, you always start at like the beginning of like this tunnel. And the whole premise is like, you're this skater, right? Like you've been in the green room chilling. And there are like story moments where you're walking around the green room in first person and reading notes and kind of piecing this story together. But when you put your skates on and enter the arena, you have to like, almost like a football team. You got to run through the tunnel, right? And you just hear like the crowds like chanting your name and then like this giant steel latch door opens and then you drop in like skating style, like drop into the half pipe. And that's like what starts the level. It's really sick, man. The enemy variety is pretty vast, honestly. I'm trying to think. Like I've played 6 levels. I've probably had to, figure out how to deal with, 7 or 8 enemy types, and they all kind of interact and require certain moves from you. So certain ones, there's one enemy that has like this ice beam, and if you want to, and it does a lot of damage. Like I've died a lot to this enemy. So if you want to kill them quickly, once they take damage, a few seconds later, they teleport away. And so if you're not using the right weapons, then you're going to have to like continually deal with them. And so it's all about like, okay, do I want to use the shotgun? Do I want to use the Kimbo pistols? And so if you want to kill somebody quickly, you want to use the pistols and you have to like empty your entire clip. But if you're lucky, you do enough damage and they're now out of the match, right? Because there's just so much going on. You got laser sights pointed at you. You've got rockets flying in the air at you, and you can shoot the rockets out of the air, and like they'll explode and cause damage to enemies. Yeah, man, this game is just so cool. It's also got like one of the best video game shotguns in a while.
Wow.
At first it wasn't doing much for me, but then I realized, this is like, I was talking to some friends that were also previewing the game, and they were saying, this shotgun kind of feels like it is core to the identity of this game. And it's like, yeah, you're right. Like, so when you go to slow motion with the shotgun, it has a second function where you unlock the slug shot. And what happens in slow motion is, think of, it's probably the most similar to like an active reload, right? That's the easy comparison, where, there's a bar that comes up and you have to, hit the fire button again when that reaches this certain part of the bar. In this case, it's the center, and it'll turn blue for a second. And so when you do that, you get like an extra like powerful slug shot. So the game becomes this loop of just like, it is so fast paced. There's explosions everywhere. You're switching weapons. You're doing tricks to reload those weapons. You're slowing down time at moments to aim. And it's like, the focus is not the aim. Like they help you lock on to enemies. Like you don't really have to worry too much. I was like skeptical. Like, am I really going to be able to aim with this? But there's just enough assistance that, you really get to focus on the movement of it all and kind of comboing things together and stitching your plans together rather than focusing on the nitty gritty of like, I got to aim for this headshot. The game, put this on your wish list, man. This game rules. I can't wait to see. I'm going to look up real quick when it comes out, because it's pretty soon, I believe.
August 16th.
August 16th. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. It's also worth noting, like, because hearing that the skating is as good as it is doesn't surprise me, because this is Roll 7 making it.
Yeah.
Who was the team behind the Ollie Ollie series.
Yep.
So they have, like, extreme sports, like, stunt, trick, experience, whatever you want to call it. So, yeah, this is something not totally out of their wheelhouse. They've done things like Laser League in the past too.
Yes. So actually this is interesting. This was a Finnish developer named Paul. They don't have their last name listed anywhere, and I can't find what their actual. I've looked everywhere, but on Twitter they're at Chon Kurabb, ChonKurabb. They're the developer of this game, and they were working since 2018, 2017. They've been working on this prototype, and then they ended up going to Roll7 with the idea, and Roll7 partnered with Paul to really bring it together and give Paul the resources to finish making their game.
Cool.
Yeah, so it's like this was like just this weird idea that apparently Paul brought to Roll7. Roll7 was like, yeah, this kind of fits our wheelhouse, and then they worked together to make Rollerdrome, and it's so cool. And there's parts I can't talk about that are just ridiculous.
And just to clarify, Alex, this is a single player game. So I think
Yes.
when you look at it, you would think multiplayer because of the sports aspect, but this is like a
Purely single player, yeah.
Is it, in relation to comparing it to Tony Hawk, is it like a narrative driven game, or is it the kind of game where you have a level, you're going to beat it the first time, and then you're going to try to perfect the level and get everything done on that level objective wise?
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
it's the latter. There is a narrative, though, tying pieces together.
Okay.
One of the moments that I can talk about, they really play a lot with the formula, right? Like, they don't just stop at there's enemies on the ground, they have guns, kill them, right? At the end of the last level in the demo, you are in the most Tony Hawk looking level, like skate ramps, half pipes, grinding spots. You finish killing all these dudes, and then this bipedal mech drops in with rockets attached to it, and you have to dismantle. You have to use your guns to like dismantle the mech, and like as you shoot certain parts of it, its arms will fall off. And when I saw that, I was like, "Oh my god! Like this game is just going for it."
That's awesome.
And so I can only imagine how they're gonna up the ante. There's stuff on Twitter that you can go and look at of the demo. I will say go and look at Paul's Twitter. Again, it's at ChonKurabb. And their pinned tweet is, and I haven't found this, I haven't seen this in the game, but I'm hoping it's coming. There's a giant spider mech where part of the spider is a half pipe, and you are just like,
oh, that's dope.
This giant mecha, like it's like 20 times your size, and it's like put together by like skate ramps and stuff.
Dang.
So I can't
That's
wait for the full release, so that hopefully, I assume if it's the pinned tweet, it's going to be in this game, but it just looks sick. And I can't wait. This game is really good. I can't stress how much I like it. It is assuming that the rest of the game holds up to what I've played so far, absolutely, I'm going to reserve the sentence I was about to say till after I review it, but it's looking very promising. And I hope that the full game sticks the landing. So that's Rollerdrome.
What's the music like, real quick?
Yeah, I was going to ask
because I feel like it's a big part of action sports games.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh God. Now that you're asking me, I'm like, I'd say it's a mixture of like synth and rock.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Like high octane, like distorted guitars, big drums. There are also other moments like in the story where it's just very much like arpeggio synths, like do 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 bang, like that kind of stuff.
Okay.
That vibe.
Yeah.
So it's pretty sick.
I mean, if it's bad, we're all just gonna play Goldfinger Superman over it anyway.
Yeah, right.
Of course.
I was gonna ask, is it graphic? I can't remember from the trailer, but is it like?
Yeah, it is rated mature.
Oh, it is. Okay.
I wouldn't say it's graphic. You are, as far as blood goes, there's not a ton of blood.
Okay.
Really?
But there's lots of other stuff. Enemies die. They evaporate and like they leave health behind. I wouldn't say it's graphic, but there is a lot to look at. It's graphic in terms of like explosions and color and, like I said earlier, spectacle. But it's not like you're not playing Doom, and it's very much like a lot of like militaristic themes. Like think of like what a corporation in a dystopian. It takes place in like like you're fighting in like places like Berlin and stuff like that. But like this mega corporation, I don't know how the story unfolds, but it seems like they've kind of got this like militaristic hold on the public, and you are under surveillance. They're watching you. You're very much like, again, it seems like you're skating for your life and not just a paycheck, but I haven't seen that yet. But it just is very, there are dark undertones despite it being a very radical, whimsical, I don't know what the right word is. Like, it's a weird game, but there are dark undertones, and it's really cool.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Am I the only one that gets this game constantly confused with Rollerball, the terrible 2002 combat sport,
No.
extreme sport skating game,
No.
which in itself was a remake of a 70s film?
Oh, that is funny.
Okay, they just have similar premises of like near future,
Mm-hmm.
like extreme sport skating thing, but like people are dying, and it's like I don't know. It's a bad movie. You shouldn't watch it anyway. But
Is that the James Caan movie?
no, LL Cool J's in it. I remember that, and John Reno is in it,
Oh, okay. Then I'm thinking of.
and I remember Paul Heyman had a cameo in it. It's not good. You don't need to watch it. But I get it. Whenever I hear Rollerdrome, I think of that movie just because they are kind of in the ballpark.
We all have to go watch it now.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll do it. We'll talk over and we'll make content out of it.
Yeah. By the way, I posted that GIF I was talking about of the game, of that spider boss from Twitter. I posted that in the Discord server, by the way. So go check that out. But and that kind of will give you a glimpse into.
Oh, I see it.
Mhm.
Yeah, how's that? Live reacts.
Yeah, that spider is stomping. Oh, look.
Oh, yeah.
that is cool.
Oh, look at that little
What?
poly spider.
Yeah.
at that.
I hope they don't change it. They just that's
Oh,
just
that's
Keep
really
it that
cool.
way.
Yeah. He's like
Awesome.
perfect.
Well, that's Rollerdrome. I'm really excited about it, as you can tell. One thing to note. I hope that they can kind of tweak the grinding a little bit. For the most part, it's solid, but there are certain moments when I'm like skating up a half pipe and I go to hit the grind. And it's more of like an animation thing. Like feel wise, it's fine, but the animation's a little wonky, and it's almost like I become magnetized to it, and I almost like go from like a 90 to, it's like almost like a 90-degree rotation, like snap rotation, where it's like, okay, I'm skating on the ramp, oh, and now I'm snapped to the grind. You know, that's the kind of, I mean, they can fix that kind of stuff, but it didn't really deter my gameplay at all. It was just more of like a little visual hiccup. I feel like could be polished some more, but yeah, game's good. I'm very excited to see the full release. So that's Rollerdrome. Marcus, Wes, you have both been playing Stray, right?
Yeah.
How is it? How are you liking it, Marcus?
Well, I finished it over the weekend,
Oh, nice.
and I enjoyed it quite a bit. You know, Stray's one of those games that it's one of those games I'm really glad exists, because I'm always excited to see like different protagonists, you know, like outside of just human person, you know, like just like the thing that has kind of sent this game into like the stratosphere in terms of like notice. Cause I even saw like a general news station reporting on this game, being like, have you heard of this cat game that got the internet on fire? And, you know, seeing all the videos of people's pets reacting to the game. Like, I love that stuff. Like, give me a game that lets you play as anything else than a person. And so, like, the how well this game nails being a cat. And I like cats, and I used to have a cat back in the day, so it speaks to me a little bit. I think it does a great job at that, and it just offers a unique experience, because I think otherwise, if it was just like the same game, but maybe you played as one of the robot dudes, it'd be fine. But like the main draw is that novelty of you know, being an animal that you really don't get to play as in many games. I like that it's not any longer than it needs to be. You know, I got through it in about 7 hours, and I was being very thorough in trying to get everything. And I don't think it would fare well if it went longer than that. I think it's, you know, it does what it needs to do and gets out, which I respect.
Yeah, me too.
I think the world design is fantastic.
Yeah.
I love visiting every new area. I think the colors, especially like the way the different like lighting and how they mash together. We're like, okay, some of this wall is like covered in red lighting, and then some of it's in blue lighting, and you'll see them maybe like overlap a little bit. Like, it's got a very, and I didn't realize this, so I looked it up. I didn't realize that Blue 12, the developer, was French, because it has a very French vibe to it. And then you're like, oh, that makes sense.
I didn't get that. That's cool that you called that out.
Yeah, it's something about the robots too. I don't know what it is, but the way they're designed, it just like French animated films and stuff like that.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, which I love those robots. I think the designs and the little LED faces with their
They're so
expressions.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like rubbing up against them and making them have little hearts in their faces, making everyone happy.
I like giving the guy pieces of music
Oh yeah.
and listening to him play the guitar.
Do you have a favorite song?
I do, but I couldn't tell you what it's called.
Is it number 4?
Number 4.
No,
Number 4 of 8 was my favorite.
I want to say actually it might have been. I thought you meant the song title was 4. Yeah, it might have been the numbered 4. It was either that or 6, I think.
There was one that was like untitled that I think that's the
I didn't
one
like
in the
that
safe.
one that much.
Yeah, that one's a little weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I enjoyed the game. Like, I'm glad that it wasn't really any more simple than it was. The one thing I wish it had that I kept bugging me was I wish you could just jump whenever you wanted and not just to get on a perch. Like, I wish you could just walk around and jump, because those sequences when you're running away from the Zerks, maybe it's just the platformer fan of me, but I kept wanting to jump to evade them
over
instead
them?
of having
Yeah.
to yeah, exactly. That's what I would do. I was like, oh, suckers, look at this. I'll just jump over, and you're like, oh no, I can't do that.
Yeah. I think they would have to like fundamentally change the design of the game, unless it was just in those moments. that you
I
could do
wonder
it.
about that. Like, what is this? Like, you're already when you're not.
I
in
feel
those
like the
sequences-
rules of the world didn't change because like you don't have to worry about running off an edge right now. Like it's not all that precise. It's very like more focused on like finding the path rather than balancing and staying on the path, if that makes sense. And I feel like if you were to just let people to jump places, then it might increase some of the frustration. Like some of those pipe sequences, I feel like if I was in charge of actually platforming, might not be that fun. But I could be wrong.
and it does fit with how cats operate. So you see cats jump; they're very deliberate, and they don't.
That's a good point too.
You know, like when a cat's about to jump on something, when they give it that stare for a second.
Yeah, and they like
then
back legs kind of they wiggle and then they jump.
do the
Yeah.
butt wiggle. Yeah, so like it does fit that you have to kind of like pause before you jump to your perch. Which, by the way, I recommend if you want to make this game feel a little more immersive to go
Adopt
into
a
the
cat.
options. Yeah, so first get a cat, and then have it next to you as you go into the options and turn off the jump prompt.
Oh, yeah, I bet.
Yeah, I did that early on because at least for me and how I want to play, it just kept reminding me I was playing a video games. You see it a lot every time you even like as soon as you approach a thing that you can jump to, it's just like X, and I was like, oh, I don't really like that. So
Yeah.
you turn it off, and then it just makes it feel more of a puzzle because then it feels like you're figuring out like, okay, I can jump here and then here, instead of the game kind of saying like, yep, this is good, you can do this. You know,
Yeah, I like
So,
that.
that's a thing that you can do if you're wondering.
That's cool. Yeah, I'm like in straight. I haven't finished it actually. I'm close though. I'm in without like spoilers. I'm in the sewer. No, I'm past the sewers with Momo.
Okay.
You got like about halfway through.
So I've gotten to like the next main hub.
Yeah, you're like halfway-ish, pretty
Yeah.
much.
Okay, cool. Yeah. I've kind of like found the thing that you were looking for. If that makes sense. The place.
I haven't played Stray, and so I wanted to ask, does the cat feel like a character, or are you kind of just like spectating things and helping people?
I think in a good way, it doesn't really feel like much of a character to me. One thing I was excited about this game is how much of a cat it is, because I don't know, my cat like does not care about. I don't even know if my cat likes me or my house, or if I just like feed it food so it stays. Like I've never met a cat that's like in love with humans. They just think that they're above everybody. And I wanted this cat to be kind of that way. Just like I'm in my own world doing my own things. Yeah, sometimes I'm helping you, but you're lucky I am. And that's kind of how I feel. Like this cat isn't really. I think if you ask this cat at the end how much they care about everything they did, they would not care too much. But in a good way. I don't know if that makes sense, but like that's how I felt about it and what I liked about it as well.
I feel like the cat likes the robot, at least your little robot.
Yeah,
B12.
companion.
Like there are times where like he gets knocked down and he's like, and when I love like to Wes's point that the cat doesn't feel like overly sentient, like
Yeah.
outside of the puzzle solving you're doing, we're like, man, this is a smart cat. But other than that, it's like not really reacting. Like people are treating it like they're like, oh, you're the one that has to save the world.
Yeah.
Da-da-da-da. But then it's just sitting there like, all right,
Yeah.
like okay, I guess. And the robot's just kind of doing the heavy lifting in terms of communicating like what you should be doing. And it just seems like the robot's, like you said, the robot's lucky that the cat is going along with it as much as it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but the robots are key to them surviving. Like they just need a little help along the way, like with something that can fit in tight spaces, I feel like.
And I think it's also because they don't know what you are. So they have no context for how cats are supposed to operate. So they're just like, wow, you're just like, they're afraid of you at first because they've never seen organic animals besides the Zergs. So I think they're just like, wow, this thing is pretty smart. I bet it'll help us. We've never known cats to be aloof, standoffish, maybe sometimes jerks. But yeah, I like that. It reminds me of South Park a little bit, of how like the best South Park episodes are when the kids are just being kids, but everything around them is like so over the top, and there's like, you guys are the only ones that can save the world, and they don't really care, but their indifference still works out in favor of the people that want them to do something.
Yeah. Oh, that's a really good comparison.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of like that, where like this cat only really wants to find its family and everything else that happens around it. It's like, I'm only kind of interested because the side effect of me helping you is me getting closer to the thing that I want, but like things just kind of work out and fall into place anyway because of, I knocked the thing over and then it happened to set off a chain of events. I was like, oh, I guess this benefited you. I like that they didn't make the cat too, I guess maybe too human or anthropomorphized a bit. You know what I mean? Like the interaction, like one of my favorite bits is when you first get the harness. And the first thing the cat does is like, like if you ever put a harness on an animal and they hate it and they just like, the cat just sinks to the ground and just like starts moving around weird for a while because it doesn't like it. And you have to wait for a bit before he starts moving normal again. I like stuff like that. I adore. I think that's super cute. Yeah. And also really accurate. Yeah. They never forget that this is at the end of the day, a wild animal, I've been playing it on my Steam Deck almost exclusively. Maybe not quite. About half and half. And by the way, runs awesome on Steam Deck. If you have to lock it to 30, I think, but I'm like cranking the settings, man. But yeah, Wes, are you playing Stray?
Yeah. Beat it yesterday. Really enjoyed it. I think being able to read reviews and read people's thoughts helped me enjoy it more because, like, when you start Stray, it has like all the trappings of a game that's like gonna really try to like push a message for, like, it has themes and messaging and like this big heartfelt moment and stuff. But for me, at least at the end of the day, it was like not so much that, like, it wasn't a typical Annapurna game in that way. This was like very much a video game where you play as a cat, and being able to know ahead of time helped me enjoy that a lot more, because I probably would have gone in expecting some big reveals or overarching themes and all this kind of stuff, which there's some there.
Loss and heartbreak.
Yeah, exactly. But like, you're just playing a cat.
This is not a profound game.
Yes, yeah. I think I aligned pretty closely with Blake, who wrote our review. Gave it a 8 out of 10, I think. I think one thing I would hope a sequel, which they should include a dog and this cat, and they should call it Stray together. That's perfect. That's if that happens, I nailed it. But
Homeward Bound.
My biggest problem, which is not really a problem, but like all the cool, cute cat things are kind of optional, and I wish they found a way to integrate being a cat more into like the actual objective gameplay. Like
I was thinking there could be some good stuff with like health with some of those systems.
The closest thing is that you get achievements for doing certain things. Like it's cool because it's things you would probably do anyway, or like it's like stuff that it's out of the way, but when you see it, you're like, I'm totally gonna do that because it'd be funny, and then you get a trophy for it because the game knows that you're gonna want to be mischievous. But yeah, like stuff like drinking water. I still found myself doing a lot of cat stuff anyways. I felt like I tore up every couch and scratched up every rug that I saw.
Because it just felt right.
It did. I was like, now I know why my cat does this to my couch, my lovely couch that I love.
Maybe that's enough. I don't know.
I guess it's going for like the immersion and like you're role playing almost, right? Maybe you're banking on like you're gonna role play and you don't really need to do it for any other reason than to immerse yourself more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, really get into being a cat.
Yeah, like I think there's stealth sections, and I was surprised like meowing wasn't integrated into that, because I feel like, Assassin's Creed games have whistles and that kind of stuff. Like an easy way to integrate cat stuff into this would have been like, you need to meow to bring, people trying to get you over to you, and then you can distract them with that, or purrs.
No, there is that in the beginning.
Oh, that's
But
true. That's true.
The very first chase sequence there,
Yeah.
like you can do that, but I do feel like the game forgets that after that because I never did it again.
Yeah, all the stealth I just
outran everything.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Then there's a point in the game for a time where you could just straight up kill them. So yeah, I wish they did more with that after introducing it.
But it's like absolutely worth playing, and one of my favorite games I've played this year. It's easily one of the prettiest games on PS5. I'm pretty blown away by just how stunning this game is. There's no photo mode, or at least I don't think there is. I didn't use it if there was. But like, I really want a photo mode from this game because if you just stop the cat, you could take a photo and it would be gorgeous. It's a really pretty game.
Yeah, it's one of those games where like any shot that you're in could probably be framed.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
No matter what you're doing, just the way everything looks. Yeah.
Word. Well, hey, let's take a quick break. We're going to get into the listener email section of the show. Big talker there is going to be Steam Deck. Got a lot of questions about that. I know me and Wes have been playing the heck out of our Steam Deck since getting them a few weeks back. So we'll be right back after this, after a quick ad break. We all know about the speed of sound, but have you ever thought about the sounds of speeding? Drive too fast and you could hear the sound of your vehicle crashing, because one way or another, speeding catches up with you. This message is paid for by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. Welcome back, everybody, to the Game Informer Show. It's time to get into housekeeping before we get into listener emails. We start every segment of housekeeping, with a podcast review. This week, also, I just want to say real quick, thank you for everyone who went out and left a podcast review. We got several this week. Really, really appreciate it, and I will be shouting you out on the next couple episodes of the show. This week's podcast review, want to shout out Dr. Salsa 1214. They left a 5-star review saying, really excited about the future of the Game Informer pod. The first episode of the Van Aken era was great. Feels a bit more informal than when Statnik was host, but feels like a bunch of friends sitting around cracking jokes and talking games, which I love. Also, shout out to Blake. He's the best. That's a very nice review, Dr. Salsa. Thank you for taking the time out of your week to go and leave some nice words about us. Not only does it help us mentally, I think, but it also helps us on the actual podcast platform. And I can always tell when, we get new subscriptions and new reviews, because I can see the numbers going up, and that makes the people up top happy, and that makes me happy. You're doing me a favor. So thanks, Dr. Salsa, and everybody else who left a review. Really, really appreciate it. This week for weekly recommendations, I know I'm just now springing this on you guys. I'll go first so you can find something to plug. But if you have a feature or a review or just an article from the website or even the magazine you want people to check out and read or watch or listen, whatever, it can be anything. This is part of the show where we're just gonna share a little bit about what's going on in the world of Game Informer. I'm actually gonna be selfish and plug my Rollerdrome preview. I think everybody should go check that out. I worked hard on it. I got it up late because I couldn't stop playing Rollerdrome. So I think that's actually a little inside baseball. That's probably just going to be my headline. My preview is late because I couldn't stop playing the actual game. But go check out my Rollerdrome preview. I'm going to go over to Wes. Wes, what should people check out from Game Informer this week?
I'm also going to be a little selfish and say you should check out the Skull and Bones cover story.
That is a good one to check out.
Yeah, it's put a lot of work into it. It means a lot to me for various reasons. And I think even if you're not excited about Skull and Bones, there's a lot of interesting tidbits of information behind the scenes of Ubisoft's inner workings.
Yeah, Ubisoft Singapore especially, right?
Yeah.
Word. Marcus, let's go to you.
Yeah. Sorry, the site's loading slow for me.
Dude, that's literally what I'm doing.
Is the website down?
It is.
Wait, no.
I just got the application denied.
No way. Oh, we should tell them. Well, I can see what is doing well.
But I can pull something out.
No, you're fine. I will cover for you. Go check out a news article by Jay. Nier Automata player discovers secret room, leaving data miners baffled. Sounds very interesting. It's doing pretty well on the website too. So maybe people should go check that out. And then check out our Xenoblade 3 review, our 2022 video game release calendar. We're about to hit the busy season of games, and man, everything. There's a game coming out every week, I feel like. Winter is coming indeed. So GameInformer.com/2022, so we can see a full rundown of all the games confirmed for the year, as well as we also have GameInformer.com/2023, getting a head start on next year. So if you're curious about when your favorite games might be releasing, if there's a release date or not, if it got delayed, you can go and check out those release date calendars on Game Informer. I know they're a big help to a lot of people, myself especially. Next up, I just want to shout out the Twitch channel. Go over to twitch.tv/GameInformer. We stream there on Thursdays, Fridays, sometimes other days as well. Blake's been streaming games and also building a Gundam model this past week. Marcus, Reiner, and John Woody, our programmer, finished up Jedi Fallen Order last week on replay. The climactic finale. How's it feel to be done with that game, Marcus?
Our long national nightmare is over. The super replay that would never end, and mainly because we just kept like bumping it because we had this weird almost 2-month long streak of other things happening on Fridays.
Yeah.
But now it's over, and we've if you weren't there, our next super replay is going to be Metal Gear Rising Revengeance.
Oh.
Which should start, I think we said it would be this week, but I also at the time didn't connect the dots, and I'll be out I'll be on vacation Friday.
Off to a great start.
Yeah, off to a great start. Another replay that will never end. So next week, Metal Gear Rising Revengeance, Friday on Twitch, 2 p.m. Central. It'll be fun. I'm
really in the mood to stream some Fortnite soon, so I might do that. I'm on a huge Fortnite kick.
That John Cena news got you, right?
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
You're like, I gotta play as the champ.
Yeah, I've been playing with Sean Thomas and a few other friends. Actually reconnected with my childhood best friend, Benton, and we played together. We hadn't talked since 7th grade.
Oh, wow.
And we played Fortnite the other night and talked. It was cool.
I misinterpreted that as Fortnite's not that old. I've been playing Fortnite since we were kids. And now we're back.
No. But yeah, all that over on twitch.tv/GameInformer. We typically aim to go live at 2 p.m. Central on Thursdays and Fridays. Again, with the layoffs and everything, that's a little, we're doing what we can. We're kind of streaming when we can stream, but those are typically the days we aim to do that. But you can go and follow us, turn on notifications, and you'll know when we go live there. Over on YouTube, go check out my Rollerdrome preview. I really appreciate it. We've got a lot of cool stuff that'll be coming to the YouTube channel in the coming weeks. I'm going to EVO next week to Las Vegas. You can expect a vlog. You can expect interviews with developers. I'm doing a larger story on EVO itself as a video profile. So expect some cool stuff coming soon to the YouTube channel.
You're competing, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm going to be on the main stage, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm playing. I'll be the only Super Smash Bros. Player there. The game isn't officially being supported at EVO this year, but they said they make an exception. They've seen me play Link.
You're doing it like Sakurai, where you use 2 controllers to play.
Yeah, they said everybody deserves this to see this show. And I said, well, I won't let you down. But yeah, if you are going to EVO, if you're in Las Vegas or will be in Las Vegas between August 4th through 8th, and you want to meet up, you want to say hi, I guess that'd be a good time to do that, huh? Follow me on Twitter at It's Van Aken. Contact me there if you're interested. Follow Marcus on Twitter. He's not going to EVO, but he's on Twitter. You can follow Marcus at Marcus Stewart 7. You can follow Jay at Jason _Guisao. What is it now? Did you change it?
I think it is Jason _Guisao, yeah.
Okay, cool.
I think that is it. Yeah, you were...
I wasn't sure if you changed it to JRPG or not. But, and you can, of course, follow Wes at LeBlanc Wes. And that does it for social plugs. Don't forget to go listen to our other podcasts. Video Gameography, all things Nintendo, from panel to podcast. Yeah, let's get into listener emails finally. Again, if you want to be a part of listener emails, you can email us podcast@gameinformer.com. You can ask questions in the Discord, which you get access to by subscribing to us on Twitch. But yeah, this is the part of the show where we answer the questions, answer your burning questions. Let's get into it. On Discord, Winners Redacted asks, Has anyone that purchased a Steam Deck found themselves playing it more than their actual PC or console of choice? I'll go first. I would say no, but I am also playing handheld a lot more. Yeah, especially I've been traveling. I went to go see my dad in Virginia last week, and I played Stray as a part of that. I played a little Rollerdrome on Steam Deck. I played a game that I'm reviewing for us on Steam Deck. I played Dude, I got World of Warcraft running on Steam Deck. Oh my god,
that's wild.
Oh my god, dude,
Incredible.
It is wild. I feel like I'm like a hacker. I just followed a guide on Google, but man, that thing rules. Am I playing it more than my actual PC or my console of choice? I'm playing it more than consoles. It is kind of like when I'm not playing on my desktop, I am playing on the Steam Deck. I haven't really played much PlayStation or Xbox lately. What about you, Wes?
So usually I have a console game going, and then I also have something on Switch, and I kind of will, lay in bed, watch TV, play Switch at the same time at night kind of thing. And the Steam Deck has kind of overtaken the Switch in that regard. I'm still mostly playing PS5 and Xbox. I'm not too big on PC gaming, only because I have it set up where I usually work. And so, when I'm done working, I like to leave that space. Yeah. So this is kind of like Steam Deck's giving me the opportunity to play games I've been wanting to play on my PC for a while. Fortunately, I have slipped back into just playing Final Fantasy 13 again, and that's kind of what the Steam Deck has become. But I'm not yet at the phase where I know where the Steam Deck's going to fit in my lexicon of gaming. I don't know if you've been doing this, but like I'm heavy tinkering with the Steam Deck at all times. Like I am doing things that make me feel like a hacker, maybe some illegal stuff like ROMs. I don't know if I could say that. No, never would not do that. Certainly didn't find a way to
You're
play
gonna get
SSX
fired again,
tricky.
dude. I'm kidding. I'm sorry. That was too soon.
I got laid off the first time. Now I'm gonna get fired for playing SSX tricky on my
There
Steam
is a
Deck.
difference.
I'm just basically trying to see how far I can push this. Like when I play a game, I'm less playing it and more just playing for 10 seconds, seeing how it runs, messing with some settings, seeing what I can do, and playing a bunch of non-Steam Deck games on the Steam Deck.
Same.
Wink, wink.
Yeah, wink, wink. We won't name what games we're playing, but I'm with you on that. Well, actually, I haven't finished setting it up, but I've got all of the pieces installed, and I've got my ROMs on a SSD. I just haven't transferred them to my Steam Deck, but that's like the last piece of the puzzle. But yeah, I'm excited to do that as well. I think next I might try to install Overwatch on it, because I've got the way I did World of Warcraft. I now just have I boot up Battle.net from the Steam Deck, and then I boot the games from Battle.net that I want to play. And so theoretically, I know I could just download Overwatch and have that as well. It's more a matter of keeping that stuff on my internal hard drive, because I just think when you're doing stuff out of Steam, I feel like it's just better to do it on the hard drive, unless you're doing like ROMs, because those are so lightweight. But in terms of installing, a launcher, I want to keep that on the actual internal SSD. And so I just got to see how much space I have, if I can have multiple games from Battle.net on there. But I'm really enjoying it. Let's get into the next question.
Before you do, can I share something tragic?
Oh no.
Is that I missed my pre-order, my purchase thing, like my email. Apparently my email came in a few days ago, or I don't even think I got an email. I sent it on Steam, like a Steam notification, but I didn't fire up Steam until like Sunday night. And then the first window pops up saying like, hey, time to buy your Steam Deck, dated July 21st. And it's like, you have until today at 1 p.m.
Oh,
and I'm like, well, it's like 8:30 p.m. now.
Oh my god, dude.
So I missed I can't be cool like you guys, I guess, until
you got pushed back, right?
I guess. I don't know how
I don't think you forfeit it. I think they just move you to the back of the line.
I got a refund email.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, they're like, here's your $5 back.
Then yeah, I think you'll have to redo it. That stinks. I'm sorry.
Were you ready to buy? Like when I got my email, I was not prepared to spend that Steam Deck money, but I knew I had to. So maybe there's a silver lining. If you weren't ready to buy it, now you can prepare.
Right.
Yeah, I was definitely like, when I saw the email, I was like, oh, this would be somewhat irresponsible to buy this right now, but I can. so I guess, I don't know, maybe it was a blessing in disguise that I don't have to make that choice, but yeah, we'll see. I can't toast my Steam Decks like you guys do. I don't know what you rich people do over there, but
Yeah, we lawed over the common people below my apartment. I sit on my patio and, play it. I've got, some fancy rings on that I put on when I play it. I've got
like the Mandarin.
Yeah, I put a feather in my cap, and I sit up there and play Stray. As people walk by and I say, "I'm playing Stray."
Have you seen the Steam Deck thing?
I don't even talk to them. They don't.
Oh,
even
you
know
don't even. You don't even
Wow.
grace them with a conversation. Yes, I announce to them that I am playing premium hardware.
Yeah, it's hard to know which method is snootier.
Yes, truly.
They don't know I'm playing SSX Tricky.
And then they look at me and they say, "Snuff you, mate."
Oh, there you go.
The callback.
That's a rare doodad you got there.
You should be screaming from your balcony, "I'm the MVP!"
Yeah. Next question comes from Logan on Discord. Logan asks, has your Steam Deck replaced the Switch for you? I played my Switch quite a bit with Monster Hunter, Pokemon, etc. with the Steam Deck, essentially being an open source system with full access to my Steam library. I'm able to snag those emulators and all that. I haven't touched that Switch in a long time. Yeah, I think Wesley kind of hinted at this. Seems like it's for now replace your Switch.
Yeah, I think so.
Obviously, that'll change when first-party games.
Yeah, I did just get Live a Live, so I picked up my Switch for the first time in like a month after playing Steam Deck, and it was really strange.
Wait, hold on. I genuinely don't know the answer to this. Is it Live a Live or is it Live Alive?
It's Live Alive.
Oh.
I don't even remember what I said. I switched
or
it
live,
up, so.
Live Alive. Alive
Alive.
I think Reiner thought that it was Live Alive.
Which, like, Live Alive, that sounds like a very video game title.
Yeah.
But I mean, it sounds like once you get a Steam Deck, the Switch just becomes the Nintendo machine, and that's it. Like only their first party stuff. At that point.
I mean, I don't know. It is much more portable than the Steam. I mean, they're
That's
both
true.
portable, but like the Switch is a lot lighter. Switch also has the OLED screen that I have this OLED version. So I'm thinking like when Cult of the Lamb comes out, that might be a Switch game for me. I think that's coming to Switch, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
There's a few games like that I still want to Switch for. It's more so like, am I messing around with like a Stray, like a very visually demanding game? Then I'm gonna play it on Steam Deck, right? But I still plan to use my Switch for less demanding games. How about that?
That portability is a good point because you can hide it better. I was going to ask you, Jay, as a New Yorker, would you dare play a Steam Deck on the subway?
Dude, I don't even dare to play my very, very like original vanilla version Switch on the subway. So I'd probably take out.
Oh, those are more valuable, man.
Yeah, that's fight starting.
Yeah,
on
I'm
the
sure.
subway
Yeah,
for
that's
the
true.
Game
Fair
Pass.
I wouldn't dare bring Minish Cap on a subway, man. Pokemon Fire Red, no way.
Yes, the moment someone hears that killer Minish Cap OST,
Oh yeah,
they're gonna be
They
coming
know.
away.
I'll bring Legacy of Goku on the subway.
You'll bring Legacy. I think I
That
have
game's
brought
great,
Legacy of
but there's a
Goku
lot
on
of
the
copies
subway.
of it. I'll bring Scooby Doo Mystery Mansion. I don't know if that's a game. It sounds like a Scooby Doo game. By the way, I used to love those Scooby Doo games. What was the one on
Dude.
GameCube that everybody loved? It was the 3D platformer.
Is that such a thing?
A
Did you
thousand-
look that up?
Something?
Night of 1,000 Frights?
I think so.
Night of 100 Frights.
Night of
That
100.
game, sick, man.
Yeah. it
Wow.
is.
What, like unironic?
It was sick, really.
No, yeah, it was good. It was
I was like,
solid.
I've never heard anyone. I've never played a Scooby Doo game, let alone hear anyone
Oh, really?
celebrate one.
Oh, I played.
Yeah,
I played a bunch of them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think people consider Night of 100 Frights to be one of the GameCube's better games.
One of the greatest games of all time, I think.
Wow.
It is really solid.
I don't know what to
just
believe.
just
right
go
now.
all in on it.
No, hold on.
No,
hold
you've
on,
got
hold
Breath
on.
of the Wild, GTA 5, and then Scooby Doo Night of 100 Frights.
Yeah, this
Hold on.
this is a
We're gonna go to
mystery
Metacritic.
itself. We
Okay, Scooby-Doo Night of 100 Frights on GameCube. It's a 68. So
That's
maybe
pretty
not quite. It's pretty solid for
1 point away.
a
1 point
licensed
away
game
from
back in the
perfection.
day.
for that era, yeah. Super
User
replay
score is a
candidate.
7.4.
Dude,
Well,
GI gave
who
it a
reviewed it? Who
6.5.
did it?
Yeah, who was it?
Let's find
Who
them.
was it?
Uh-oh.
Who was it?
If you guys are mad at the Xenoblade review, wait till you read this one.
Yeah, I know, right?
I gotta know now.
Matt Helgeson?
Damn it, Matt! How could you?
You're on my list, Matt,
Damn it,
Son of a
Matt.
gun.
of Scooby-Doo haters. Well, thanks for that question, Logan. Another last Steam Deck question, or not really Steam Deck. This is for everybody. Judonkadonk on Discord asks, there's a lot of talk about making games portable. What portable games would you like to make non-portable with or without a remaster?
So this is literally taking a portable game and just releasing it on consoles, not doing anything else to it.
Yeah, think like
blowing it up into a bigger thing.
think
what I was
Tearaway,
thinking.
think Gravity Rush, games that were once portable only that are now you can play them elsewhere on more powerful machines.
Ooh,
Mm-hmm.
I have one.
Yeah?
Does anyone remember the PSP game Jean d'Arc?
No.
It was a turn-based strategy game by Level 5 based on Joan of Arc. But like it was pretty much what if we turned the story of Joan of Arc into an anime, like the most anime looking thing. And it was on PSP. It's literally just kind of like a tactics game, but it's really good. And it's one of my favorite games in that library that nobody talks about. Because Level 5 is pretty good with their, RPG strategy stuff.
Yeah.
But that game has never been ported anywhere ever. It's been trapped on that device. And I'm wondering with this PlayStation Plus tier if they'll make it available finally now through that. But I think that game could work on does moving it to Switch count?
I think so. The Switch is hybrid.
Yeah.
Okay, I was like, that would be a fantastic Switch game, for obvious reasons. But if that counts, but I think it'll be fine on console too. So yeah, I'll say that just to get that game, give it a new lease on life.
I think similarly, well, not PSP, but something I want on Switch, right? Granted, I would want it on everything, but it's a first-party Nintendo title that is stuck on the DS systems. But Mario and Luigi Bowser's Inside Story, I've heard really good stuff about. I've never had the chance to play it, actually. And yeah, I've heard people really like that game. And also, what is it? Mario and Luigi Superstar?
The GBA, the first one, Superstar Saga?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've heard those are really good too. I just missed them the first time around.
Yeah, does it count? Because I think Superstar Saga, wasn't it ported to the Wii U virtual
Oh, was it?
console?
Okay, yeah, it might have been. I
It
think
might
Bowser's
not,
Inside Story was not.
Yeah, none of the, because that's the tricky thing with porting DS and 3DS games is how do you translate the dual screen gameplay to anything else?
I'm looking. Yeah, I don't think the first result was a fan cover art for the Wii, so I don't think Bowser's Inside Story came out there. So yeah, I think that'd be cool if it came to the Switch. I don't know if that's in the spirit of the question, but I'm saying it is.
I think that would be impressive regardless. Again, how do you account for the second screen?
Yeah,
How do you rework
the
it?
mobile app, man?
Oh,
The Switch mobile, just get it comes with a proprietary mount. You put it up there. Yeah.
I trust Nintendo, the company that has mastered voice chat, to be able to handle that well.
Definitely. Jay, what about you?
I would go with PS Vita's Uncharted Golden Abyss. I think I've never played it, but I love Uncharted, and so it'd be cool if it got. I feel like asking for the P5 treatment might be too much, but if it was like a P4,
I don't think you can, because didn't the question say that we couldn't do anything to it, like no remaster or remake? It
says with or without remaster.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Okay, cool. Whew. Yeah, I don't know if I would play like the PS Vita version on like my but yeah, I think that would be pretty cool. I love Uncharted. Never played Golden Abyss, and it would just be cool to have it on my big old TV.
A Killzone game that was exclusive to Vita.
Mercenaries, I think.
I thought that was the one that PS4. There, but I'm pretty sure there is one, right? I know there's a Metal Gear that's PSP.
Yeah, the two Peace Walker and
I think I remember that.
Portable Ops.
But didn't those make it over to console eventually?
I think Peace
and a
Walker
collection.
did.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure Peace Walker did.
But Uncharted's a good call because I'm the same way. Where I love Uncharted. That's the only one I never played because I never had a Vita. So And I'm always kind of surprised that hasn't happened yet, just because of how big that series is, that they just haven't remastered. I know that game uses some like touchscreen and like back pad stuff, so maybe that's why. But also, there's a touchpad on the, on the DualShock and a DualSense, so it's like probably just do that.
Yeah,
it's kind of in like
that's true.
It reminds me of Arkham Origins, where Rocksteady just kind of acts like it doesn't exist because they didn't make it, and I feel like PlayStation and subsequently Naughty Dog don't really want to acknowledge Uncharted Golden Abyss, because it wasn't Naughty Dog that developed it, right?
That's right. It was Ben.
Well,
No, it was
somebody
Ben.
owns that studio, so yeah, bring it over, make it happen. I want to play it.
Can't hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Word. Do you have any more?
I've got two. One is something that everybody asks for in once, and that would be Golden Sun.
Oh
my God!
Just,
wow.
you don't even have to touch it. In fact,
Wow.
don't put a weird filter smoothing technique on it. Just give me that original game playable on something. Yes. But my true answer is one of my favorite games of all time. Marcus, I'm hoping you've played it, and I think you might have. Maybe, we'll see. Yu-Gi-Oh! The Eternal Duelist Soul.
I know it. I don't think I played that one, but I know of it.
Oh,
I think that's one of the Yu-Gi-Oh games I didn't play.
That game.
It's so good.
Got me like whisper screaming.
It's so good. I still hear, I know that entire soundtrack, like front to back. It's just a really good, like kind of back to basics Yu-Gi-Oh game. And I think it would, well, I don't know. Yu-Gi-Oh is a different beast today, but I think it would do pretty well to have a game that kind of is like, you know, the original Yu-Gi-Oh.
Oh, I did play this one. This one ruled.
Yeah.
I used to play Yu-Gi-Oh games, but I couldn't remember which one. But I recognized the.
It's the Game Boy Advance one, right?
Yeah. Okay. I played this one to death.
There was when I was in
it's so good.
my senior year at high school, I was in like a pre-calculus or something like that. And we had these super fancy calculators, graphing calculators, and the ones we had to get for the class were advanced enough where you could put ROMs on them. And I had this game as a ROM on my calculator in pre-cal. Didn't do very good in the class, and it's because of this game. Me and my friends would just play it the entire time.
That rules.
Yeah.
If it helps, I did get the cards that came with the game.
I'm pretty sure that's
Like,
why
yeah.
I originally
by
bought
trading
it.
with people. Yeah, because it came with Skull Dice, Graceful Dice, and Exchange.
Yeah. Another series where, well, Yu-Gi-Oh! It's all about the cards, but Pokemon, one of the best Pokemon games ever made that nobody talks about is the Pokemon trading card game on Game Boy Color. It is incredible. That game slaps. It is top. It is one of the top. I'm not going to put a number, but it is a top Pokemon game. Stranded on the Game Boy Color. Never. I don't know if it came out on Virtual Console or not on Wii, but I'm going to say we need that.
Yeah, it might have come to the 3DS Virtual Console.
Really?
But
Okay.
that's still a handheld. So,
Need that one.
There's
ported.
a trading card something coming out, right? Maybe a mobile game.
Yeah, the trading card game Live that got delayed.
That's just like the rebrand of the online card game that's been around for
Okay.
decades.
Yeah.
It's already
pretty
out.
much.
Jesse Vitelli was playing it in Discord the other day. But the Pokemon trading card game on Game Boy Color was like, what if you were playing the open world RPG, but instead of throwing and catching Pokeballs, you're trading and battling cards in, Johto.
That's sick. That's actually really, really cool.
It's rad. And dude, that game's so good. Go play it.
It's funny, one of the games that would have been my answer for this is actually happening, which would have been Crisis Core.
Oh, well, yeah.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
What's the game called, Van Aken? I just want to write it down, not to.
Just the Pokemon trading card game on Game Boy Color.
Okay.
You gonna go to the game shop and try to find a cartridge?
Yeah, definitely not looking at ROMs or anything like that. That would be silly.
Yeah, definitely. You gotta buy the game itself when it came out.
You know another Yu-Gi-Oh game real quick that's good. I don't know if y'all have played it. It was like the Yu-Gi-Oh GX game
Was
on
it
the
the Tag
PSP.
Force
You ever
games?
played that one? I
It's
like that
called,
one. Was that what it was called?
I
It
know
was
what
like
you're talking about.
Tag Force games were GX era.
because you could make your own character, I think, and then you were like placed in one of the houses because GX
Yeah.
was like a boarding school kind of setting.
That sounds sick.
and you can
I
walk
think
around.
that
and...
sounds a lot like Tag Force.
I think
had to
it
play
is
the
Tag Force.
games.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know
Okay.
which
So
ones,
maybe it's
there's like
Tag
4
Force.
of them, but
I really like
yeah.
that one.
Man.
Those games were. I played the crap out of Tag Force 2 specifically. I played
Dude, there was a facility, I think, in the first one that you can go to, and you can enter the serial number of your real life card in it, and you can get like your whole real life deck
It's
in
a
the game. And
brand
it's like, dude,
synergy.
what? Nuts.
Man. Do you think we'll ever get a Yu-Gi-Oh or Pokemon? Mostly Yu-Gi-Oh is the question, but do you think we'll ever get a Yu-Gi-Oh game that isn't told via like visual novel style, where you're actually like walking around the world?
Like a straight up, like, I don't know if it has to be an RPG exactly, but
An RPG adjacent,
like a
yeah.
third person adventure
Yeah,
game, and not
They could get silly with that one. What was that Yu-Gi-Oh
Oh,
series where they had
5Ds,
motorcycles?
Yeah, like because they've had games in the 5Ds, but they're just like you're just playing the card game.
Yeah.
But they went all the way. Like, no, this is 5Ds. The video, you are on your motorcycle, and that would be amazing. Especially because, fun fact, 5Ds arguably probably the best Yu-Gi-Oh anime of them all. It's absurd of a concept.
Really?
It is
What?
amazing. It is one of the best. It's probably the
Is it
best one.
really,
It's an
dude?
amazing story.
Dang.
That's awesome.
Oh my god.
Cool. Well, I'm gonna cap the questions off there. Do you want to give one last question or one last comment? Biscuits of Davy wrote in saying, less of a question, more of a suggestion. I think the movement in Rollerdrome is exactly how GI should shoot all video footage from now on. So yeah, every one of our reviews going forward will have bullet time included in the commentary. Yeah, I'm excited to announce that.
I didn't know if he meant like, should we be wearing like strapping GoPros and going skating? Is that what
That too,
Yeah.
right? That too, I assume.
Yeah. I just want to give a shout out to No Way Ryan Tatum, DJ _Stormageddon, and SSGT Dutch on Twitter. We got your questions. We're going to save them for next week. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Of course, go and follow the crew. You can follow Jay at Jason _Guisao. Follow Marcus at Marcus Stewart 7. Wes is at LeBlanc Wes, and I'm at It's Van Aken. Review the show if you enjoyed it on iTunes or Spotify. Email us, tweet us your questions for next week, and share the show with a friend. I know there's been a lot of changes, but I'm feeling like, this episode felt really good. We're still rolling on with the GI show. We miss Alex, of course, but there's still something to look forward to every week on Thursdays on audio platforms, wherever you listen to your podcasts. That's going to do it for the week. Thanks for listening. We'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.
Bye.